Welcome to the Build a Business You Love launch party. Thank you all for being here so much. I'm John Felkins, and this is Dave Ramsey.
That's me.
Thanks for being here, Dave.
Absolutely.
All right, everybody. We would love to hear through the chat where you're from and what kind of business you've got. Just go ahead and type that in as we get going. And we love having you here. We're excited. We're not just celebrating a book, are we?
No, we're celebrating small business. They're the ones that are the backbone of the American economy. And we're celebrating you guys because so many of you purchased this thing, and we appreciate it that you made it a number one. It opened up the first week and it launched as a number one bestseller and it hit the New York Times. So thank you guys very much. We deeply appreciate your business and appreciate you trusting us.
Absolutely. Listen, here's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to hear from Dave for a little while on 30 years of business experience in 10 minutes. You can do that, right? And then we're going to do some Q&A. And then we're going to give you a couple of options, next steps on how you can level up your business. And then lastly, and I know you're interested in this, we're going to announce the winner of the Business Breakthrough Coaching Giveaway. So, Dave, you know, as you think about the book, and you talked about it a little bit, why do you think it's so important that people have this kind of information? Or why did you write the book?
Well, I mean, you know, you and I sat down and a group of us here and we were talking about the EntreLeadership system that we've used at Ramsey to grow Ramsey, and we've been talking about it with those of you out there that we've coached over the years in EntreLeadership and watched you grow through the different things. And we established there are stages of business and there are 6 drivers that drive businesses. As you roll through those stages, you're going to roll through those 6 drivers several times. And you know, we're pragmatists. We want to say, do this and then do this. And so here, plant some corn if you want some corn.
No
right?
theory, right?
I mean, there's not a bunch of theory here. We're not running around all over the place with our chicken with their head cut off. We're going, okay, here's a step-by-step thing, a clear path to move through growing your business. And I wish I had that because I kind of did wander around with the chicken with my head cut off thing. I kind of was all over the place. And so if somebody had said, if you'll do these 3 things and level up, you can move up through these stages faster, we would have.
Yeah, that's why we say our school colors are black and blue.
Amen.
Learned it the hard way, right? Well, let's dive into the stages of business a little bit. You've talked about, you started your business on a card table in your living room. What was that first stage like? And then let's just go through them.
Well, that's, again, the outline of the whole book. We're going to be going through this, and we're going to be talking about the 6 drivers all through the whole book. And stage 1 is the treadmill operator. You feel like you're on a treadmill. Run. You're working all over the place. This is an exciting and a fun stage because the dream of owning your own business has come alive. And the good news is you're naive enough to know that you don't know how hard it's going to be yet. You know, it's still all fun. It's still, you know, it's the honeymoon phase, right? Yeah. Everything's still awesome, and we're just run, go. It's not sustainable though, because at this stage, all the revenue is produced by you. All the production of the goods or services is produced by you. And so if you get sick or you take a vacation, you are unemployed. The revenue disappears. Yeah. And so at this stage, you don't even technically own a business, you just own your job. And that's not bad. That's where everybody starts in small business in particular, unless you had $2 million of joint venture capital or something to kick off with. But that's not who this is about. It's about people like me, start something in their living room, start something in their garage. And so you run. At this stage, I would come home from work after working like a crazy man, going in 63 different directions, very chaotic, but really wide open, very enthusiastic, lots of energy. And I would just collapse on the couch and lay back, and my wife would go, "What'd you do today?" And I'm like, "I don't know, but I did a lot of it." And it was just this sense of, you know, there's no traction, right? Being on a treadmill. You start to feel like a rat in a wheel.
You just run on pure adrenaline.
Yeah, and it is a fun time.
Right.
But you can't do it for 5 or 10 years.
Right, it runs out.
It's not sustainable because you're going to get sick or you're going to want to take some time off and your income's going to dip and your production's going to dip and you can lose momentum. And so it's just not a sustainable stage, but it is kind of a fun stage. So how do we level up out of it? Well, we start to hire. and we start to bring in some people that can produce some of the revenue and can do some of the production.
Yeah.
So if you're actually making a hard product, they're making the widget. If you're producing a service, then they can actually do the service, and you're not responsible for 100% of everything, and that's delegation, obviously.
Yeah.
It's the first hires you're doing. It's the first level of delegation, and you stand back and pan back a little bit and start to time manage, and you time block, and you set aside time during the week to do things other than just work in the business.
Yeah.
And our friend Michael Gerber in the book E-Myth says to learn to work on your business, not just in your business. And when you start managing your time better and start to look out just past Friday, and you go and you start managing, you get the first hire or two in, and it's not all dependent on you. Now you're leveling up.
Yeah, you get your head up a little bit, huh?
Yeah, you get off that treadmill. You start to go, okay, now let's go to the next stage. And when you level up, we call that the Pathfinder stage. Stage 2. Now, the biggest issue you face in the Pathfinder stage is we lack a real clear direction. Now we've got stuff moving, we're selling stuff, we're making money, but we're just running around all over the place. And now we've hired some people, so there's like 6 people or 7 people running around all over the place.
Yep.
And they're like, it's like trying to nail Jello to a tree. It's like trying to herd cats, as they say. And so what we've got to do is drop those 2 metaphors and go, no, we're going to get our ducks in a row, pick up a different metaphor, right? We're going to get a clear direction. We're going to get everybody marching to the same tune. We're going to come up with a mission statement, say this is who we are, and so therefore everything we're doing aligns to that mission statement. These are our values. These are how we make decisions, our core values. We did that at Ramsey, ended up with about 16 of them. We pared it all the way down to 14 now. And my friend Pat Lencioni makes fun of me and says 14's too many. He says by definition it's not core if you have 14. Yeah. Well, I got 14 and it's working for me. So shut up, Pat. But we're good friends. We give each other a hard time all the time. So anyway, the deal is the team knows this is what our values are. The team knows this is what our mission is, and then you start to go individually and say role clarity. Yeah. Within a certain person's job, this is what your job is, aligned to those values and aligned to that mission. And lots, sickening amounts of communication is required to get all of those things in line and get these ducks marching together.
Every time you do this is one thing we talk to people about is you go through one of these stages, like doing what you just said, your reward for doing that.
You level up.
But
when you solve a problem in business, your reward is you get a new problem.
You get a new and more sophisticated, harder to solve problem.
Yeah, but now you're prepared for it.
That's right.
If you'd gotten that problem early, you wouldn't have been able to handle it.
Right, you've grown into it.
Yeah, so just expect that. There's no point in running a business that it's just over.
It's just easy.
Like, I'm just going to kick back and somebody's just going to do it for me.
Right.
That would be if you sell it, right? I mean, you're gone at that point. But
there is no easy button.
There is no easy button. You're going to keep doing something. You're going to keep pushing something. There's some rock to be pushed up the hill.
So if you get everybody rowing in the same direction, you get all those ducks in a row, next stage, Trailblazer.
And this one is wild. The Trailblazer is... you've got people going everywhere. Now they're starting to line up a little bit, and now we're starting to get a little bit of size probably to the business at this point. Not huge, but 10 people maybe. It's not based on size, but it's based on symptoms.
Yeah.
Based on problems that you're facing. But the big thing is with this one that you lack a plan to scale.
Yeah.
And you lack the leadership layers to scale.
Yep.
And so, a good measure of ratios is about a 1-to-7 reporting structure. Mm-hmm. If you have more than 7 people reporting to any one person, you don't have enough leaders.
Yeah.
Because you got 14 people reporting, you're not doing it. You can't lead 14 people 1-to-1.
Yeah.
Not well.
Yeah. And talk a little bit about the plan to scale. And I know we've talked about this a lot. You're a guy that's a tactical guy. Leave the cave, kill it, bring it home. But at some point in the business, you got to do something different. You got to start thinking way farther out in advance, right?
Well, this is probably where I learned to spell the word strategic. I couldn't spell it when I started because I'm kill it, drag it home, make payroll Friday, make the payables on Tuesday.
But that's how you get to this point.
You get to this point, but We had some folks starting to get up above the business and start to say, okay, we need a better plan long term. We need to, if you get a 30,000 foot view, you get above the business, you can see things you couldn't see when you're just down in the ditches fighting every day. Yeah. And my nature is, as a tactical entrepreneur, I'm going to be in the ditch fighting all day long. And we started hiring, some of the guys we hired and gals we hired were MBAs, Masters in Business. And one of the things I've learned over 30 years of doing this, I think almost every master's in business, every MBA program that's taught in North America anyway, has an emphasis on strategic thought. Right. To get above the problem, look at the thing and say, if you just quit running into the wall and turn right and then turn left, you could go around it and burn a lot less calories and have fewer bruises in the process, right? And so our guys started teaching me strategic thought because I did not see the value in it. I thought it was some kind of corporate crap or some kind of academic garbage or whatever. Yeah. And it's actually hugely valuable if you're going to go to Florida, looking at the map on how to get there before you leave home, probably a good idea. Hello. That way you don't end up in Arkansas. Right. There's nothing wrong with either one, but where were you trying to get to, right? Yeah. And so if you're going to Florida, you ought to have a map and you ought to get up above it and go, this is the best way. And, nowadays we got GPS, of course, and it says get off the interstate because there's a wreck, right? But still, we've got a plan, we've got a strategic thought. And so we always laugh around here and say the MBAs taught me how to have strategic thought, how to think strategically, and I taught them how to work. So it's not theory. This is real stuff. You're getting above it just to be able to execute more efficiently. Right. And that's your planning stage. And when you learn to do that, and you start to hire your first level of leaders, maybe even your second level of leaders, some leaders leading leaders, to where you keep that 1-to-7 ratio going. Now you've got leaders leading people, or leaders at least leading people that you're leading them. Right. And at that stage, the thing's starting to get an organizational chart structure. Yep. We're starting to have some a little bit of strategic thought. We're getting above it. It's a little bit more sophisticated, but it's still pretty crazy. It's still kind of nuts. And there's still a lot of stuff coming at you, a lot of stuff going on, and you're really missing out. The other thing you have to do at this stage is you really have to pour on the processes. You need to put systems and processes in place. At this stage, we were killing a lot of trees. Yeah. And we had 73 spreadsheets instead of a good accounting system. Yeah. And trying to join them all together and make them talk or something. Now, you need to sit down and get a good, strong accounting software package in place, something like a NetSuite. Right. Get all that stuff in there, get all that stuff moving, and you need systems and processes. Now, we're not worshiping the processes, but we've got to improve them for efficiency because we had people counting stuff by hand. That's just dumb in today's world. Yeah. You've got technology that'll do every bit of that. So systems and processes, layers of leadership, and strategic thought and planning out into the future.
Feels like the theme to this whole thing is this is the point where you really start to work smarter, not just harder.
Yeah, that's an old saying, and I haven't always liked that saying.
Okay, all right.
But at this stage, you're right. It is applicable at this stage. Okay. Because you really are, because you are just the calories you're burning, the effort that is expended to do some of the basic stuff is just because you didn't stop and go, well, that's a dumb way of doing that. We could do that in half the effort if we just put it into had somebody write a simple algorithm, a simple program, and all of a sudden the thing, it's done, And we have these neat things called computers, and it's just, wow. But we were burning some trees, man. We had stacks of paper, files of things, and stacked on people's desks, but we were doing a lot of business. Yeah. And we were running and gunning. So when we started doing those three things, we get the right leaders in place, we started getting above the problem and planning out into the future, thinking strategically, and fixing the systems and the processes. That allowed us to level up to stage 4.
Yeah, peak performer.
Right. This one's a sweetheart.
It's a fun stage.
This is when you get here, you're gonna be. This is my favorite stage, man, because you're just stacking cash now, man. You're just making money. Life is good. Everything you touch turns to gold. You are not nearly as smart as you look, because all those systems are starting to work. All that strategic thought's starting to work. You got the people aligned on the values. You got culture building inside the company. Man, things are working. It really can.
It's clicking.
This is, and you can stay in this stage as long as you want to. Yeah. It doesn't bother me a bit. There's only really one problem with the peak performer stage that you've got to watch for, and that's just the hubris what my friend Jim Collins talks about in How the Mighty Fall. This idea that I'm as good as everybody. They start to write articles about you, and you're like, oh yeah, we're now successful, and you start to believe, and you just we'll just keep doing it this way,
Right.
and that's the beginning of the end when you do that, because you can't keep doing it this way. The rate of change in business, the rate of change in our culture is crazy. And there's going to be a market disruption. You're either going to cause it, you're going to ride the wave, or you're going to get crushed by the wave. Mm-hmm. And so you got to be ahead of it, looking for that wave coming in, or looking for the opportunity to create that market disruption. Right. And that is not resting on your laurels. That's the opposite of that. So at this stage, to keep the pride setting in that I'm good and I can just sit here and keep doing the same thing, because it's working. Yeah. It's really easy to get a little bit emotionally and mentally lazy at this stage and just go, look at the stack of cash, look at the article that says I'm a bad guy, I'm good, I'm killing it, and look at me, and that's hubris, that's pride. Right. It comes right before the fall. It's really easy to do. So you got to fight against that and not let the organization go, well, we're all good now. We're Ramsey, we're a well-oiled machine. And a well-oiled machine will lock up if you don't keep putting oil in it. Hello. So the thing we want to do here is to continually shock the system. Yeah. Continually break it before it's broken. Turn the basket over and let the fruit run all over the floor. Reorganize, reset things, change things, mess with things. Be constantly reading good books and going to good conferences to get new ideas, to come back and mess with things and push them around. Yeah. And you can, if you do that, if you're continually iterating and breaking it before it's broken and not resting in your pride or your arrogance or your hubris or whatever phrase we want to use here, you don't rest in that. You can stay in this stage continually resetting, and using all the things that got you here and be very successful for decades.
One time I walked into a conversation and I heard you talking about a book, and you were recommending the book to other people in the conversation. And I was listening, and you were recommending a book on public speaking. And I thought to myself, if Dave Ramsey is recommending a book on public speaking, I got no place to rest. You're a lifelong learner. You've never gotten complacent. And I think...
Well, I'm too scared to. I mean, because I know if I get complacent, complacent is what you get right before your roadkill. I mean, you stand in the interstate acting like nothing's going, boom, you're done. You know what I mean? No, I got to be, I'm scared if not terrified. I don't have anxiety issues. I'm just saying a healthy fear. If you're standing in the middle of the interstate, you don't get complacent. You got to get out, 18-wheeler, take your butt out. Yeah. So you got to be moving. 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 You got to be thinking. And that involves reading and going to conferences, watching stuff like this tonight. Yeah. Thank you all for being with us, all that kind of stuff. So we just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And it's a healthy ambition. It's just, I want to get better. I want the team to get better. Yeah. I mean, think about this. We started Ramsey 35 years ago. There wasn't the internet. I mean, we had one computer in the office. Yeah. Everybody didn't have a computer.
Everything was on cassette tapes, right?
Yeah, it was on cassettes. I mean, we just gotten out of the 8-track phase, I mean? And so think about all the different times we've had to iterate and reset from, cassettes to DVDs to MP3, well, to VHS. I skipped VHS. And all the different things we've done over the years, and also continue to do things that are done old style, like a printed book that still can be a #1 bestseller. But we've also got the ebook. And we've got the audio book on this one's very cool because we highly produced it like a podcast instead of a boring read audio book. And so that was kind of fun on this one. So that is something, we took an old thing and did it a new way. Right. But audiobooks are huge, especially in the self-improvement space. So we're always looking at all these different aspects of the business and going, okay, break it. That's why we did this audiobook different. Right. My friend Malcolm Gladwell, his audiobooks they're very entertaining. Yeah. They're highly produced.
They're fun to...
He and I were talking about it when he spoke at EntreLeadership Summit a couple years ago, and he goes, Dave, this is the way it's going. And he's one of the first ones. He created that wave of disruption. Now I'm going to ride that wave a little bit. Yeah. Ramsey's going to ride that wave a little bit. So
I love that.
It's good.
All right, so Peak Performer, it's fantastic. It's fun. But as great as it is, it ain't going to last forever, is it?
Well, no, because we don't last forever. That's what it amounts to.
I've heard that rumor.
You ain't getting out of this alive? Yeah, that's it. So, I'm 64. When I was 48, I had this revelation that someday I was going to die. And so we need to start working on what happens to Ramsey if Dave's not here. Because, at that time, I was the entire brand. Right. of everything that happened here. And the brand was the Dave Ramsey Show, the Dave Ramsey this, the Dave Ramsey that. And so people would interview to come to work here, and they say, well, you know, what happens if Dave dies? And we would truthfully tell them, you're screwed, because we have no plan at all. And
that's so encouraging.
You know, I know, but I mean, and they would come to work anyway, but you know, but that was the truth, because this thing's going to fold up like a Walmart tent. You know, I mean, it's like, so you've got to have a plan for succession, because that gives you several things. Not only does it give you a higher probability of succession occurring, and succession occurs not only when you die, you know, but the typical small business person does zero planning.
Right.
They grab their chest, they're falling back in the grave, and as they fall back, they toss the keys out.
Right.
And you're supposed to pick it up and run with it. The probability, if that's you, of that business being open 4 years later is almost zero.
Yeah.
And we've done the research, done the data on this. We've studied small businesses for almost 20 years now, and family businesses and succession issues, what works, what doesn't, all those kinds of things. Hint, one of the things that works best is a gradual handoff versus a sudden and extreme handoff, because the players are not proven. Yeah. You're delegating the entire freaking operation to somebody that's not proven yet. And so, and of course, the other side of it is you never delegate anything, so that the people you're going to be, your bench depth is weak, because they've never been in the game.
Yeah, they don't have the skeletal structure to hold it up.
Muscle to muscle around in the game. They can't push things around the game because they've only sat on the bench and watched other people, you know. And that's your fault if you're the owner and the leader. And that was my fault at the time. So we said, okay, we're going to fix that. We got to start planning. How do we do succession? What's our succession plan look like? What's that look like? And so we started having these meetings. What happens if Dave dies this year? And I call it the Monty Python meeting. It's like, I'm feeling much better. Bring out your dead. I'm okay. You know, it's all that, right? It's just a flesh wound. But we did all that stuff. And we've done those every year now for 20 years. We even have a little accounting metric inside of Ramsey that how much of our revenue survives this year. Right. And the first year we did, if Dave dies this year, and the first year we did that, 3% would survive. This year, 97% would survive. Yeah. And so we've been successful in the revenue is not sitting on these shoulders. That way the business has a probability of continuing, of sustainability. Now, what that does is not only keep the business alive, but here's the thing. The older the player gets, or players get, that are still in control and there's no plan, the harder it is to attract quality talent to the team. And the vendors start to get worried that they're not going to have business because this thing's going to fold up if the old man, old lady dies. The customers are looking at it going, what happens when this guy dies and there's nobody on the radio? It's going to be real quiet, you know, and this kind of stuff. So you're sending a signal that you're clueless to the marketplace, to your hiring, to your vendors, to your customers, and to your team in general, because you're clueless. That's why you're sending that signal. So don't be clueless on this. Start to lay out a plan and go, you don't have to have exact dates, but here's a process we're going to follow, and here's how this place survives. Here's what the handoff looks like. And so our team knows, a lot of our customers know exactly what happens to Ramsey if Dave dies this year. We're very public about it because we want to be able to continue to attract talent that's not based on Dave being here.
That's the other thing is not only do you and you're saying this, but I just want to double down on it because as a team member, what it's done for me, not only do you do that plan, you put that plan in place, there's massive amounts of communication around it. You've told us all of that.
Repeatedly, till I'm sick of talking about it. But yeah, that's because it is massive, because that's the only way people hear it, is you do that. So make a succession plan, lay it out for the good of everyone around the business, the vendor, the customer, the team member, the future team member. They know what's going on. They have a higher level of confidence, because even if there's going to be a rough patch, people can handle a rough patch as long as they can see it. Yeah, it's when they act when it looks like leadership's clueless, because leadership's clueless, that people don't hang around. They go, I'm going to hit the eject button, baby. I'm going to go find a bunch of people that know what they're doing. And they usually think it's the worst case scenario machine. Humans are worst case scenario. So if there's a lack of communication, they always think it's worse than it is. Yeah, 100%, 100% of the time. And so Some companies use what we call mushroom communication. They keep everybody in the dark and feed them manure. And so, no, you want to tell them everything, good and bad, just put it all out there. And, back when we were 50% Dave would survive, we told the team.
Yeah.
Right now, we're up to 50%. That's good because we used to be at 3, and we're headed towards 100. So
only half of you are screwed.
that's right. Well, I mean, and we'll figure that out later. But but that, at least they know what's facing, and if they hear something about Dave's this or that, then that's the deal. So succession planning is it isn't just for the actual succession event to occur. Right. It's for all the years leading up to it, the health of the business, the mental health of the business.
Mm-hmm. It's good stuff. Good stuff. So as y'all listen to that, you listen to the different stages. Where do you think you are? Which one of those stages sounds the most like your business and where you are in that process? So you guys put that into the chat, and you up for some Q&A?
Sure, let's do some.
Let's do some Q&A. All right. First question. How do I make a hire I won't regret? So early stages, it feels risky. I need to make maybe my first hire, second hire. How do I do that and just not hate myself for it after I do it?
Well, the truth is that if you've never hired anyone before, it's really, really scary.
Yeah.
And, it's a lot scarier for you than it is the person you're hiring because they assume that you're going to be able to pay them, and you don't know if you can. You're like, oh, I hope this all works, and you're worried about, now I got 2 families to feed.
Yeah.
Not just mine, but I got to take care of this person's family, and it's scary. There is a certain amount of anxiety that goes with it, and that's natural because it is your first time to ride a bike, and the last time maybe you got your knee skinned, and so it's a real thing. It's scary. And the other thing, it's okay to say out loud, and I'll just go ahead and tell you, you're not very good at hiring yet because you've never done it. So you may hire a clown. You may hire a doofus and regret it later. Be ready for that. I did. Not the first one I hired, but the second one. And it didn't work.
Yeah.
And so you've got to. I go back and I look out of the first 25 people or whatever. I mean, my percentages were really bad because I didn't know how to hire. I didn't know how to go through the interview process. I thought everybody would work. I thought everybody would show up on time. I thought everybody would care. Yeah. I thought I was so naive. I thought all that was true. And now we hire for character. Yeah. We hire for enthusiasm. We hire for crusader mentality and for talent.
Yeah.
And they got to have all of it.
Yeah.
And we interview to go through this lengthy process to get there. And because we're a whole lot better at interviewing. And well, how'd you get there? Trial and error? No, just mainly error. And it was we just screwed up. Yeah. And we said, well, we'll do it that way again. Yeah. How'd crazy get in my building? What door did they use? I'm putting a lock on that door. That's a crazy door. We don't want crazy in here again because crazy stops everything and you can't get any work done because you're dealing with crazy until you can, have a crazy ejection. And if you've ever done it, you know what I'm talking about. So it's real. And so admit that you're not going to be good at it. Admit that it's scary, and it's okay to learn something in the process. The probability that the first person you ever hire will be with you 30 years later is really close to 0.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. Either they move on or you move them on or whatever, but it's very close to 0. Oddly enough, the first person I hired did retire from Ramsey. But after about 17 years. Yeah. So, but that was very odd and very strange. And again, the second one was 2 months. Yeah. And was gone. The third one lasted probably a year and a half. And so on. I can go through them in my head because I can see their faces, right?
You remember these.
Yeah. Because
it leaves a mark.
It was painful. Yeah. It was painful. So the point is you will regret parts of it because you're not going to be perfect at it, but you'll get better as you go along, and you'll have fewer of those regrets. Yeah. And you won't tolerate it. You won't be so desperate to get I need some help in here. I need some help in here. And so you overlook an obvious signal that this guy's a clown. Right. And you bring him in anyway. Now you got a circus. Yeah. And it's a problem.
And, I think probably if I could think of just one theme over all of that, now I'm asking you if this is fair to say, but it seems like what we have learned as an organization through all of that is to slow down. Yeah. Get to know this person better. The better you know the person and you slow down, the better the chances are this person is going to be a good fit. True?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We yell that at the EntreLeaders when we're teaching this stuff. It's like, slow down. No matter how much time you're spending on hiring, quadruple it.
Yeah.
Because most people, I'll tell you what I did. I used the mirror test. You know, they fog up a mirror, we'll hire them. Because they must be okay. And that's dumber. That's dumb.
Yeah.
You're not trying to get bodies in the door. Bodies in the door just creates a morgue. You don't need that, okay? We don't need bodies in the door. But I hear business people say all the time, we just got to throw some bodies at this. What is this, D-Day? I mean, come on. You don't throw bodies at stuff. This is business. You try to get human beings in here that can function together, create a culture, and move in the right direction. Now, so, you know, most people do one interview and then hire.
Right.
So I would challenge you at least do 4 right off the bat. We got all the way up to about 15.
Yeah.
And it got to be cumbersome and ridiculous. And so we pared it down now and combined some of the things that were happening in those stages because it was just laborious. And we were wearing the candidate out.
Yeah.
And we're down to about 7 interviews on average to hire now.
Yeah.
Something like that. But
And
at
we-
least 4.
Yeah. And we get like 30,000 people a year to apply. So we got a machine. We have had to build a machine.
Yeah,
to
well,
do
I mean, and we're not interviewing all of them.
right. True.
But I'll go ahead and tell you, our first interview at our place is not a hiring interview because we're not going to hire in one interview.
Right.
And so it's only a 30-minute interview. And we're asking them, are we a culture fit to your value system? And we're telling them what our value system is to see how they react to that and see if they're a culture fit to our value system.
Yeah. That's where you want most of your churn. Right? That's
I want to lose 9 out of 10 in that 30-minute interview.
yeah.
I want them to go, no, y'all are weird, and I'm out of here. And that's good because we are weird, and if you want to be one of us, you probably ought to be weird. So, you know, we're going to get lined up early on. And in that 30-minute interview, my first HR director, Rick Perry, taught me this. He said, because I wasn't very good at it, and he was coaching me, he said, use your ratio of 2 ears to 1 mouth. So 20 minutes, 10 minutes. Right?
Yeah.
And so it doesn't have to be exactly that blocked out that way, but because when you're interviewing, you want to tell everybody how great the place is, and you can spend 40 minutes and the other person never opened their mouth.
Yeah.
And I did that, and then I hired them, and then when they did open their mouth, I'm like, oh no.
No.
So no, that's your 30-minute interview. You're just trying to find out, are you a fit? Here's who we are. Tell me about you. Tell me about this. And you know, the first thing they do is they badmouth the place they used to work at, a horrible, toxic work environment. Guess what? You're going to be a horrible, toxic work environment. That one's gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because however they were treated the last place is probably how they're going to be treated this place because it's the common denominator here is them.
They're going to bring it with them.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, look at that kind of stuff. And how much do y'all pay? Well, this is a taker, not a giver.
Right.
This is someone who takes value rather than adds value. You know, y'all real strict on your work times? Yeah, we like work and stuff while we're here, and so no, we're done. And next, and you know, I mean, what are you looking at? These are the kinds of we're looking for clues real quick in that first 30 minutes.
Yep, got to pay attention. All right, next question. How can I plan for business growth in a tough economy?
The economy is always tough. Running a business is tough.
Yeah.
And so you plan for business growth, period, and you don't let the outside variables that you can't control dictate whether or not you succeed. And so we're going to win whether the economy is going up or the economy is going down. Now, sometimes it's a little easier. It's a hot knife through butter, and sometimes you're scratching and clawing and breaking fingernails getting there. But either way, we have dictated what winning looks like, and the level of effort required might change, but we're still going to expend whatever level of effort and whatever level of iteration or trial and error it's going to take to get there. The thing you got to do is before you run into a rough spot, you have to have built a team that is strong enough, they have enough grit, enough calluses, enough courage, enough backbone to lean into a tough time. Because if your team is just, and they're just wimpy, then the first time the wind blows, they're just going to fall over.
Yeah.
And then, oh, the economy knocked us out. No, you were just a wimp. You're just wussed.
Yeah.
And that's all it was. And so the team's got to get tough. The team's got to get strong. They've got to get unified together. I got your back. You got my back. We're going to fight through this. Then when something comes at us, we react out of that rather than, I have anxiety now.
Yeah. Victim mentality.
It's really. It's just, well, I mean, the old people used to say in 100 years ago, so-and-so has a weak constitution. You ever heard that phrase?
I have heard it.
Yeah, and but all that is the character, the chutzpah, the backbone. Have you got some grit? Are you ready to fight? Are you ready to put a callus on your hand and get the work done? Are you really? The first time something comes up, it's like, oh, that's good. We're going to go. We're the opposite of a victim. We're going to be a victor. The first time you light me up, that means we're going to battle. Here we go. So that's a different personality, and it's not a personality trait. It's someone that has seen enough things and has experienced some adversity and didn't die from it, and so they know actually that adversity can be turned for their good.
Yeah.
I always think of the story of King David, the shepherd boy,
Yep.
when he comes down and his brothers are making fun of him, and the Philistine is challenging the entire country of Israel, and David sets all the armor down. They wanted him to put on all the armor that didn't fit, and he had a sling. And they said, you can't go up against Goliath. And he goes, I've already killed a bear, and I've already killed a lion.
Yep.
I've already faced adversity, and this thing right here does me pretty well. So that uncircumcised Philistine is going down. And he did, just a few seconds later. And so then he took a sword and cut his head off after he was down.
Right.
But I mean, he had that experience that had toughened him and given him confidence during a minor trial compared to this major trial. So when the major trial came, they were ready.
He had grit. Got to lead with grit for your team to have grit, but that's the way you get through tough times. All right, the next one, this is crazy. It's crazy because it's the world that we're living in right now. The question is, how are you integrating AI into your business? And then I like the second part of it. I'm interested in this too, because how can I maintain authenticity while integrating AI?
Well, we're looking at AI to do things, to automate systems and processes that are no-brain systems and processes.
Yeah.
And if it can just automate and do something real easy, then that frees up someone from using all that brain power that was doing that to do something else.
Right.
Much like just simply putting, are we going to keep accounting by hand, or are we going to utilize a computer with an accounting system that does it in an instant instead of in 4 hours? And so, there's nothing lacking in authenticity about that. It's just straight up freaking efficiency.
Right.
So that's the stuff we're using AI for. And then the other stuff, anything that's customer facing that you guys would see that we would use AI for, we're basically not doing right now.
Right.
We've got a couple of things we're testing and messing with. If we did use AI for something, we would disclose it and say this was AI created. And I'll give you an example. One of the things we mess with in the broadcast world is the obviously replicating someone's voice or replicating the delivery or a piece of content, because AI write this in Dave Ramsey's voice, or AI speak this in Dave Ramsey's voice. And so in August, our lead technology guy came in, Brandon, and said, okay, I want you to record these 2 sentences, and I want you to do it in the voice you use when you're doing the radio show. Okay. And then I want you to record it as if you were reading an audiobook. Okay. And then they told AI, based on that sample, to do those 2 things, and it was bad in August. It was almost a year ago, right? Yeah. In November, I was getting ready to do the audiobook in the studio for this, and he came in and said, let's try that again. And we had it read this manuscript, and so that I didn't have to spend 16 hours in the studio. And it was 95% good.
Yeah.
And the 5% we would have to go fix that it screwed up was going to take us more time than me just doing my work and going in there and doing it.
Yeah.
So we elected not. It's not quite ready, but it moved from trash in August to November. Almost we used it.
Yeah.
And had we used it there, to be authentic, to use your word, we would have told you guys this is AI produced. Yeah. But I'm not going to, if it sounds just like me, it is me. Y'all listening to it don't give a rip, and we'll just tell you this was AI generated, and I didn't spend 16 hours in the studio doing it. I don't mind doing that a bit.
Yeah.
Okay?
But it's still reading what you wrote.
It's reading exactly what I wrote, word for word. We put the manuscript in my voice.
Right.
But it still missed some of it. It missed some of the emphasis, and some of it was just strange, and it just, But it's not there yet.
Right.
But for customer facing things, we're not using it yet. we're playing with it. That's an example of where we played with it. It did not deliver. We're not quite there. If we do that, we have made the decision it's going to be sparingly, and we have made the decision that it will be disclosed on something that's customer facing. But if we're writing a piece of code inside of something and no one ever sees it, who cares who wrote the code?
Right.
Whether AI wrote it or whether an individual wrote it. Whatever's the most efficient and accurate and the least expensive to get the job done. So we're going to use it that way. It's a tool. It is not a God. We're not worshiping it. It is not the answer to all of our problems, and it's also not the devil and going to be the end of the world, either one. It's somewhere in the middle. It's just like when the internet came on, it's going to shut everything down, broadcast will be out of business, and everybody will be doing this. No one, and then when they did e-books, there'll never be another printed book. Yeah, there has been. There's been a bunch of them, So, Mark Twain said, the rumors of my death have been greatly exaggerated, and that's the thing with AI. The drama around AI, it's philosophically, it's something that we as a society need to manage and not let it get out of control.
Right.
But as far as small business goes, there's some uses for it already. Just be careful with it and have integrity with your customers on how you're utilizing it.
Yeah, love that. All right, question number 4. How do I get the mindset to grow my business to the next level? But I'm feeling a little bit of fear in that question. What do we think what's the thing that you got to get your head around to not just keep doing it the same way, but actually start to do the new things, like you listed out through the stages of business, that's going to take you to the next level?
Well, I don't know what the core of that is, whether it's fear or something else. It could be that. The thing that pops into my head that I see a lot of small business guys and gals do, certain personality styles, we call them in the DISC, the C, which is the real detail-oriented person. They need all the information perfectly done before they can make a decision and go to the next level. If you are that type of person, be careful, and you can get paralysis of the analysis. You can say, I'm waiting on another piece of information, I'm waiting on it, and that's a fear-based holdback because you're never going to have all the information. Right. Now, some of the other personalities need to slow down and get like mine and gather some more information.
Get some information.
Instead of just like shoot something, No, let's aim when we're going to shoot something, right? Let's think this through, what we're going to do. But the mindset to grow the business is you're not evil for being successful. Don't let anyone tell you that. And anything that's not growing is dying. I've been married getting ready to be 43 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I got to tell you, we're in a completely different marriage than we were when we got married, because anything that's not growing is dying. We're a lot more unified, a lot more on the same page every day than we were 40 years ago. And so the same is true with your business. You're going to get better. You're going to get more sophisticated. You're going to get more comfortable with the next level of responsibility to the customer, the next level of responsibility to your team. What might have been overwhelming to you before you built a little muscle over the last 2 years is not overwhelming now.
Take it in
so
stride.
Move up, move up, move up.
Yep.
You don't have to go too fast, but you do need to be moving.
Yeah. Only thing that stays constant is change.
That's it.
All right, here is a fun question. We could go a lot of places with this one. How do I deal with drama in a family business? Boy, drama in a family business. Can you imagine? Wow.
Well, as we've studied family businesses, one of the things that we discovered, and it's not really insightful, but it felt insightful the first time I heard it.
Yeah.
Your family in business is not going to be any more functional relationally than your family is.
Okay.
So if they're crazy at home, don't expect them to be suddenly sane at work.
Okay.
If they can't get along at home, don't expect them to suddenly be able to get along at work. If they've always been at each other's throats since they were born at home and you didn't manage that and teach the brother and sister to love each other and treat each other with respect, please don't expect them to suddenly go to work and start doing that.
Yeah.
So whatever the dysfunction is, or the lack of dysfunction, the quality of the family in a good situation is going to be at work.
Yeah.
And so if there's drama at work, it's because there was drama at home.
Yeah.
That's what's going on, period. And then you've got to just ask this whole thing, start to say, okay, the second thing that helped us with drama, to not have drama, we've had very little Ramsey drama here, and we've got all three of my kids are involved in some way or another in the business.
Yep.
And the big thing we learned there real early, probably, gosh, it's almost 20 years ago now. I learned it from Henry Cloud, to wear the hats.
Right.
And the hats are the roles that you play. So if you're working a husband and wife at work, you're not husband and wife. She's the CEO and he's the marketing director. And the marketing director should speak to and about the CEO the same way they would if they weren't married while they're at work. Kindly, with dignity. The CEO should treat the marketing director with dignity as a valued senior executive with the organization. Their opinion matters. We should be able to argue about the ideas and fight about them just like you and I do, and we're not kin, and we have some good arguments. And so you ought to be able to do, but it's respectful of each other. I respect your dignity as a quality leader, a key person here. You respect me as the owner and the founder of this, and honor that when we're having that argument. But I've got that hat on that says CEO. You got the hat on that says Coach Felkins, and here we go, you know. And so I was coaching an EntreLeadership couple on my back deck at a VIP event. Yeah. And they're asking me, how do we work together? And he said, I fired her 3 times, you know. And I'm like, well,
why do you keep rehiring her?
Well, there's that. She was the CFO, and he goes, she's really good as a CFO. Yeah. But and I said, so how do you speak to him at work, or do you use your wife voice? Mm. And she's like, yes, I do. Well, you deserve to be fired. Yeah. And if you don't stop doing that, you shouldn't be there, because that's the drama, because you're not playing the roles. Now, when you go home, take those hats off. Like, I've got a great hat I'll put on this weekend down at the lake. It says Best Papa Dave, because the grandbabies will be down at the lake house, right? Yeah. And so that's my hat down there, and it's a different thing. I'm the grandpa. I'm not in charge of those kids. I'm just the grandpa. Yeah. The people that are in charge of those kids would be those kids' parents. Yeah. And so I don't get to play that role. I'm playing the grandpa role. That's my hat. Right. And you got a mama hat, a daddy hat, and a kid messing up stuff hat. And that's, you know, and so, but your Thanksgiving dinner, you wear family hats. Yeah. You don't talk about, you know, it's not my CEO. I'm not talking to my boss at Thanksgiving dinner, but when you're in office, you are. Yeah. And just to make it real practical, so everybody understands, Daniel, your son, works here. And Daniel refers to you as Dave. He doesn't ever refer to Dave as Dad at the office. It gets all the way down to that level. So it's been really fun. Honestly, it's been fun to watch that and how that works out. We've been very intentional about it.
We've been very intentional.
We've worked at it really hard because to keep the drama out. Yeah. Because we didn't want to ruin our relationships to have a business together.
Right. It takes a ton. We see this a lot. That's why I kind of chuckle about it. It takes a ton of intentionality, and it's been fun to watch it. Okay, we got to jump to the last question, all right? So once I get off the treadmill, what should be my primary focus as the CEO of the business? So now I'm a Pathfinder, right? Because I've gotten off of the treadmill. What should my primary focus be?
Well, again, we'll just reiterate the Pathfinder things. The Pathfinder, at this stage, now you've got a few people you're delegating to. You're not the only producer of revenue, and you're not the only producer of the good or service, and other people are helping you with that. And the struggle that you have at the next level, the Pathfinder level, is that Pathfinders lack clear direction, and the organization lacks clear direction. So we start getting organizational direction with mission statement and values. Individuals get clear direction with role clarity, where you sit down and start to do your KRAs, your key results areas, which you can download at our website for free, a template how to do that, all those kinds of things. And, you know, and you start to put in place the baby steps and everything. I'm not the baby steps. This becomes the baby steps for business is what it is. Right. But the you communicate the values, you communicate the role clarity. The individual says, this is how I'm part of the mission statement. Yeah. That's their job description, their key result area. You're communicating that. You're communicating, this is where we're going, this is where we're going, this is where we're going. You say it over and over and over until you're sick of saying it. And finally somebody goes, oh, that's where we're going. Yeah. Like, I only said it 28 times. Of course, that's where we're going. By the way, that's where we're going. Right. And that's your next job, is the chief repeating officer.
Yeah. My observation, like what I think I've seen over the years, just to say it maybe a different way is when you're in a treadmill, your craft, whatever it is, teaching or fixing a car or fixing a computer or whatever it is, that's the thing that got you there. But when you get into Pathfinder leadership, like the leadership skill set becomes such a key thing. And that's not necessarily what got you there. Being good at the thing is what got you there. But now being good at the thing isn't good enough.
No, you got to be good at people now.
Yeah.
Now you got to learn to lead, not just boss. And you got to you start to be a quality business operator.
Yeah.
It's no longer craft. It's business acumen that you're starting to develop at that stage. You're exactly right.
That's
a good observation, and that does make a lot of difference.
It's a whole new problem to solve. All right, so thanks for all the questions. Those are super good questions. Let's zoom out a little bit, Dave. When you think about what you want or what you'd suggest for people to take away from the whole book, just taking a step back from it, out of the stages, out of the specific questions, what do you want them to take away?
Well, you and I and about 5 other people started probably as long as 5 years ago trying to say, okay, Total Money Makeover book for the personal financial space is one of the most successful books ever of anything in the entire space.
Yep.
I mean, we've sold almost 15 million of them now. And the book is basically the baby steps, the 7 baby steps. Do this first, then do this, then do this. It's a clear path to go from broke to wealthy.
Yeah.
Get out of debt, start your investing, build your emergency fund. It's a clear path. Do this, don't do the other thing until you've done this. Don't do that until you've done this. Step by step by step, it iterates, it builds, and it's a clear path, and it might take you 10 years. It might take you 15 years, but you'll become a millionaire if you follow those baby steps.
Yep.
And you do it exactly the way we teach. It's a proven process.
Yep.
And so we were seeing this massive success that people were having in their personal financial lives with those baby steps, those 7 baby steps. And so we kept saying, okay, in small business, there has to be one. Well, it wasn't as simple as 7 consecutive steps. There was more to it than that. There was more moving variables. It wasn't just, okay, 3 months, you're leveled up,
right.
Go on to baby step 4.
Right. I wish it was.
And we struggled for a long time, but we knew there had to be principles and a clear path in there and a model. And we played with 4 or 5 different models, and we test them back against ourselves and didn't hold up, or we test them back against the 10,000 small businesses that we've coached over the years, and we didn't hold up, and we would adjust. And finally, we found this kind of 2-part model that is these 5 stages that we've outlined tonight and what it takes to level up through those 5 stages. And it's a lot more than one single thing like this. And then the 6 drivers, which are in a sense the character qualities of the business itself, that those each get more and more sophisticated and go around and around and around. They're almost like a Jim Collins flywheel. I was talking to him about the other day, and I told him about this. I said, we kind of used your flywheel stuff in these 5 stages, and I sent him the book. And we're going to get to talk about it at Summit a little bit. It's pretty fun.
Cool.
But anyway, we're looking at his flywheel, and we're going, okay, how's that apply in small business? It's not really a flywheel, but what are we doing in there? And we finally found, basically, and created, with a lot of effort, is all I'm saying, the equivalent of a complicated version of the baby steps for business. And that's what this is. The beauty of having a proven path, a clear path, is you've got a lot more energy. Even if it's a big hill to climb, at least I know I'm on the right path.
Yeah, you know where you're going.
Because if you're climbing and you're tired and then you find out you went up the wrong dead one and you got to do it again, that's aggravating, you know? And so it takes your energy away, and it takes your enthusiasm away. But if you know, this is strenuous, but it's worth it because it's going to get me to the next thing, that's what this clear path is. So it will it won't make it easy, but it'll lower the anxiety around running a business because you know that this is a bumpy road, but it's how to get to Florida.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a bumpy road.
It's how we're getting there.
Yeah.
This one's hard, this one's uphill, but this is how we get to that city. And this is how we get to this view. And this is how we do this. And so this is a clear path. It is the equivalent of the baby steps for small business. And it should result, when you read it, in giving you hope.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank you for all of that. That's a lot.
Good.
Okay, so here's the thing. We got a couple of different ways for you to move forward from tonight, because that's a lot of information. There's a lot that goes into applying that to your business. And so we want to give you a couple of different ways to do that. Number one is we're going to do a 5-day challenge, okay? So if you're a Pathfinder or above, you got a pretty good sized team, you got 10 or so folks or more people than that, then what we've got is a free challenge for you where in 5 days, we'll walk you through how to get your team and your company running on the systems that Dave actually used to take this business from card table in his living room to what it is today, a $250 million a year business. And so that's the 5-day challenge. The other option we got for you is if you've got a real small team or it's just you, we're going to do a workshop to help you get off of the treadmill and get beyond that to where you do have a team. And so in that, you're going to discover how you can take control of your time and your finances like Dave talked about and be able to break out of that situation where you really just only own your job, where you can get above it and actually own a business and do that before you burn out. So how do you do that? Take your phone or whatever and scan a QR code. That little fuzzy thing down there on the right, that's what the kids do these days. Or
John, you're a technical genius.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Or do what I would do and just go to EntreLeadership.com/level up. So either scan a QR code or go to EntreLeadership.com/level up and then just pick which one of those fits for you once you get there and dive into those free trainings. Now, here's the last thing, and probably one of the funnest things for me is we get to give something away.
I love it.
It's good stuff. So we've got the Business Breakthrough Coaching Giveaway, and you probably already know about that. That's 6 months of being in one of our advisory groups. Now, what our advisory groups are is it's a small group of business owners, 8 to 10 folks, led by one of our EntreLeadership coaches. And that's a group of people that are figuring this stuff out, that are talking to each other. It's a guided conversation. They're getting to share their problems and their insights and the back and forth. It's way better than going it alone. And so along with that, of course, you get access to all of the digital tools that are in EntreLeadership Elite, and you can run your business on those. And not only do you have the digital tools, but every month we actually do trainings with our coaches on there that you can join live. So that's the giveaway. You get all of that. It's $3,000 value. It's a good deal. And the winner is Ryan Weaver from he's the president of Redemption, Renovation, and Design. Congratulations, Ryan. That's awesome. That's going to be cool. That's going to make a difference in your world, man. All right. Our team will reach out to you tomorrow. They get you all set up and do all the things that you got to do. So be on the lookout for that. And that's it. Dave, parting shot, what would you say to folks on the way out?
Small business is the greatest endeavor in America. If you're running a small business, you're part of the 54% of the gross domestic product. People like you, people like me, we create more of the economy than all the big businesses put together. You're heroes. It's very hard, and if you don't plug into something like the Entre community or start to read some things like this, it can get very, very lonely, and that can take you out. Don't let it take you out. You're too valuable. You're part of the free enterprise system. Your proof freedom works. Go prove it. Go prove it. If something knocks you down, I'm sorry. I understand. Get your butt up and get back out there and hit something. Get it done. Get it done. You can do this, and America needs you to prove that the free enterprise system works every single day. We love you. We got your back. We're one of you. Thanks for being with us tonight.